to our local non-league, and of course, joining me as usual on a Sunday night is the living legend himself, Mr. Andy Leese. And we were speaking off air as well now that some of your players quite famous that are making TV appearances now. I mean, when are you going to be doing yours?
Did mine years ago, Dave. Did mine when I was 11. I once appeared on a TV advert for shredded wheat with Gordon Banks. How's that? That's probably my best kept secret that I use whenever you have to do introductions, whenever you're in any kind of forum that you have to introduce yourself and tell people something about yourself that nobody would kind of know. So yes, back in 1974, I appeared. I think it came on in between Tiswas, Dave, on a Saturday morning. So and everybody thought it was wheat. Everybody thought it was Weetabix. I got known as the Weetabix kid for quite a few years. Actually, it was shredded wheat. So yeah, I've done my bit. But yes, it was great to see Mo get the non-league day, giving non-league day the profile, but Mo as well and the club. Fantastic, and I had to shoot off to get to the Merstham game, so only saw the record, when I watched it back later. And but yeah, the boy done well, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, everybody will be scratching their heads, going, "What was Tiswas?"
Oh, sorry, I thought the audience was all our sort of age, no?
Tiswas, what's that?
Well, you remember it, obviously.
I was a Saturday swap shop person, so I was always watching the other side.
Oh, I see. Right, yeah.
But I mean, the weekend went really well. Couldn't have asked for much better.
No, not really. No. Another solid sort of professional performance from us down at Merstham. We dominated the game, created numerous chances. The only disappointment, Dave, is we didn't take some more of them. Not being disrespectful to Merstham, I thought we dominated the game, barring a 15-minute spell just before half time. We just eased off a bit and gave them a bit of space to play, and they had a couple of chances and scored a pretty simple header from a corner. But yeah, very good. Second half, got the bit between our teeth again, and sort of rolled them over, really. Didn't really get troubled too much, and yeah, difficult playing condition. The pitch, like all pitches, wasn't great, so yeah, again, we couldn't really knock the ball around, but we played in their half, and yes, 3 more points closer to where we want to be, Dave.
I mean, when you say you had a 15-minute sticky spell, does as a manager, and especially the position you're in, do those sort of 15 minutes sort of worry the manager a lot?
Yeah, I think if you are controlling a game, the opposition, no matter who you are, whatever level, you're always going to have a spell, and yeah, you just have to guard against, against conceding. I mean, we didn't yesterday, but I have to say that the Leatherhead game on Tuesday night, I mean, they had more than 15 minutes. I was impressed with them. Not surprised they won yesterday. They came at us for pretty much most of the game on Tuesday night. But yeah, you always get concerned because you might have heard me say a number of times it's defending under pressure, and we're doing that better than we have done all season, and it's a good habit and it's a good trait to have at this time, Dave. But we are, as a team, defending really well. It's not just the back four and Nathan in goal. I mean, Nathan been called on very infrequently. We made a key save the other night, a key moment when we were under pressure. I don't think he had too much to do yesterday, but yeah, you do get concerned. But I must say we're thankfully what we weren't doing earlier in the season when we were up against it, having opposition having good spells against us, we're dealing with a lot better now.
I mean, some of the results at the weekend, around that sort of area, Cashel and Neil Hornchurch 5. The big one that we were looking at last week, Cheshunt Neil Worthing 2. We've also got Folkestone Victor 1, Lewis 2, and of course Folkestone at the minute seem to be going for a bit of a sticky patch like Enfield did, a few weeks back. And then, of course, you'll score 3-1 against Mersham. And then Bishop Stortford getting 2 goals in 2 minutes to beat Wingate and Finchley at home as well. So results, realistically, I would have said maybe other than one, all went the way that probably we expected them to.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I always said that yesterday, straight after the game day. I always have a look when I've debriefed the team, and yeah, I think they all went with form, didn't they? I mean, I think the Folkestone Lewis one, you know, you couldn't call that, but what it's done is given Lewis a little bit of a boost and probably lifted them back into the frame again, because they were stuttering as well, weren't they? It does look like Folkestone, you know, they've had a difficult week by the looks of it. You know, two league defeats and then a defeat in the League Cup as well. So they signed some players on the deadline on Thursday. They picked up some young players from Gillingham, so maybe they've got one or two issues, you know, with injuries. I know they lost a midfield player, went off to manage at Whitstable, didn't he, replacing Keith, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
So yeah, everything's going with form. I think you'd expect it to at the moment. Yeah, it'll just be when the top 5 or 6 run into each other, you know, that you'll hopefully get an advantage. You might not, but you hope they're both kind of dropping points. But yeah, everything's going to form, Dave, I think.
And of course, Lewis have got Margate as well, I think, on Tuesday night. And of course, if they win that one, the likelihood is, you know, by any more than a goal, then they'll take that 5th position and sneak into those playoff positions as well.
Yeah, as I just said, I think gave them a real leg up yesterday, because they were having a bit of a stutter themselves. So yeah, these games in hand are going to be key. I think Hornchurch play theirs the following Tuesday. You know, when we're all on level terms, then it really will be a proper sprint for the finish, if it isn't already. You know, we're certainly on the last lap anyway, and yeah, going to be an interesting week and 10 days before we get to Easter. And it just, I think I said it last week, Dave, just might be a bit clearer then what you'll need to do to finish where you want to finish.
I'll just look at next Saturday's games. Bishop Stortford have got Folkestone. Cheshunt are away to Bowers. Looking at yourself against Horsham. Hornchurch are at home to Bognor Regis. Let's have a look. Lewis are at home to Wingate and Finchley. And Worthing, of course, at home to Haringey. So, of course, I suppose the biggest fixture there is Bishop Stortford and Folkestone and Victor that will really want to get back, because, you know, if Folkestone lose that game as well, Lewis win, all of a sudden, you know, they've won their game in hand at the week, they're 3 points behind all of a sudden in that playoff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's really has come down to the hard yards now, Dave, hasn't it? And so we're just focusing on our own business, really. Obviously, I'm always interested and slightly intrigued to see how other games go, but just keep putting the points on the board for us. Horsham will be another tough one. You know, they had a good win they're in the League Cup final now, I think. Probably, I don't know. I remember, I think you and we spoke many months ago anyway. We identified, I think, Horsham and Hornchurch for me at the time, probably pre-Christmas Day, were the 2 teams that surprised me that they weren't, they weren't competing at the top end. And Hornchurch have shown that they can, and they have. But Horsham, you know, we had a win down. It was a fantastic night. We won 4-3, but but yeah.
We talk us through the game Saturday. I mean, you know, Mo on the score sheet again. I think you said that's goal number 40, and you know, and a couple of assists. I mean, was the game? You know, the game itself is, you know, you said there's a couple of sort of 15 minutes where you weren't in it. But I mean, for yourself, was you happy with, you know, your plans and yours and, you know, Mario's plans? They went okay.
Yeah, started really well. Started quickly and created a couple of really good opportunities. Their keeper was in really good form. Yeah, they're you know, most of them are they're a neat, tidy team that likes to pass the ball. They're very, very athletic, and they just felt they were just that last quarter of an hour before half time, they were just getting on the ball a little bit too much for us. So we reshaped at half time. We narrowed off our midfield, and we pushed Mo up alongside Adam Cunnington, and it worked a treat for us. You know, Maz wasn't there yesterday, funny enough, he got other commitments, but Ian Hart sort of spotted kind of what was going on, and we adapted it, and we just meant when we got more players around the ball where the ball was landing, and in the last third, and we were able to play, and the goal came pretty quickly, and we had one chalked off as well, tight offside decision, and then we pretty much say we controlled proceedings. Dave, really pleased how we're doing that now. without ever really being threatened. Back four has been solid and consistent now for the last 5 games. With Manny Madger and Scott Thomas in the centre of the park, giving them protection as well. But yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm disrespectful to Merstham. I like what they do down there with Frank Wilson and Barry Hales, but it was a question of really, I think, how many we could score really if we wanted to. But we certainly fluffed our lines. We missed one from a yard out at the underside of the bar, and Mo missed a header from a couple of yards. And it was could have helped a goal difference, Dave. But listen, I'm not being disrespectful to Merstham, but disappointed even at half time that we hadn't converted more of what we'd created. But yeah, it's all about the points. Helped our goal difference as well along the way. So a perfect afternoon for us.
Of course, the transfer window shut as well. I mean, all happy now with what you've got left for the rest of the season?
Yes, I think I said that to you last weekend, didn't I? There was no business to be done really. Got the squad we've got. I've got Jake Cass back from suspension this week. I've got John Malaba back available as well. We've got 3 or 4 lads players who train with us but are out, I'll say on loan, but technically at step 4, who are available to us as well. So yeah, happy with what we got. Didn't see the need to change anything or to try and get anything. Hard to find players who are going to improve us, Dave. That's the real challenge, and didn't want to just be adding numbers.
I mean, injuries wise though, going into this week, everything okay? I mean, have you got any coming back?
I think everybody's back. I think. I don't think we picked up any injuries yesterday. So it was a very hard playing surface. I'm sure it is everywhere. But I think Manny Madger might have picked up a knock towards the end of the game. But I haven't spoken to physio today. I don't think there was anything serious. Probably just the usual aches and pains. So we've got all week now to recover. So no midweek game for us. So we can have not a restful weekday, but you know what I mean. We got time to recover if there is anything. And we've tried to avoid contact sessions on a Thursday night. We're trying to be box a bit clever and make sure we're not getting people injured in training, because we've got a real competitive group. And I say avoiding contact. You know what I mean. We're not going at it full tilt in training. We're just kind of maintaining fitness levels and working on just other bits of the game that or specific bits of the game that we feel we need to.
That was what I was going to ask you. Do you actually adapt your training now, coming to the end of the season? You're in that position where you could be in the playoffs, playoff final, possible promotion, etc. So do you now start to adapt your training a little bit more, just to because of, again, especially now, I'm assuming with the transfer window shut, you don't want to start picking up injury after injury after injury after injury going into the playoffs. And so, I mean, you've just said that it's a bit more, sort of less contact as such on a Thursday, but do you sort of do the same sort of thing on a Tuesday as well? Do you sort of adapt what you would normally do?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. A bit more, I suppose, a bit more technical. I say working on aspects of the game, whether it's a finishing session without any sort of contact, or whether it's whether we're working on a particular pattern of what we want to do in a certain game. So we're trying to make sure we're not putting the players at risk, because I say we've got a really competitive group, and some of our sessions are very, very lively. And so yes, we are adapting it. The sessions are not as long, and they're still intense. So we're still working hard, but in a different way, Dave. To just to make sure that everybody is coming through okay. And the challenge is, at the moment I've got probably 5, 6, 7 players who, we've kept the same team for the last 4 games. Some players not getting a look in, so trying to get the balance and getting some work into them, and maybe not so much into those who are starting at the moment. That's a challenge as well. But yeah, we're managing okay with it. We're managing okay. It'll just be about maintaining being sharp, and ready. So yeah, well, we got the Easter games coming up. We might be able to hopefully be able to utilise the whole squad across that weekend. I'm trying to make sure everybody's ready for the end of the season if we get ourselves in the playoffs.
Is it do managers, if you've got like a biggish squad, do managers sort of get a little bit tempted and say, well, look, let's have a look at some of these players that we've got, the reserve goalkeeper and, et cetera, et cetera. Just giving them a game somewhere, maybe against an under 18s or, a team from a lower level in a friendly, just so that you can get to a situation of like, if the worst was to happen and one of your sort of starting 11 gets injured between now and the end of the season, that these guys are going to be ready to step in. Does that come into any sort of?
Well, think you might have been. Sounds like you've been listening into our conversation there. Yeah, we talked yesterday of maybe setting up a game, maybe this week or next week, just so I can utilise or use all the players that I've just talked about who are not starting at the moment, just to keep them, at match fitness. Really, they look after themselves, but if you haven't played for a week or two, there's one or two in there, like Harold Joseph back from long-term injury, and Harold hasn't started a game yet. So we may fit in a game. We may find sort of professional opposition on under 23s locally, for example, and try and get a game in, and maybe look at some of our academy boys as well. But you're right, it's important because the games are not so we haven't got as many games now, so we can't, well, as you say, am I tempted to give them opportunities? Yeah, of course I am. I was half tempted yesterday, and then I looked at it. It's difficult to change a winning lineup, Dave. And very hard to justify to players why you're doing that. Especially those that are left out. And we've been performing really well. So the temptation's always there, but we might have to just try and cut it a different way and get the lads involved another way if we can by playing a game or two somewhere, just to make sure that, Dave, when we get to the end of the season, everybody's ready and at it.
Well, I'll ask you the same question I've just asked Paul from Ware as well. I mean, when you're on a bit of a run like you're on at the moment, and then you've got another game coming up at the weekend, how tempted or what do you do with the winning side? So if you've got Team A, are you one of these type of managers that would keep that winning Team A, going against Horsham next week? Or do you look at Horsham and go, well, they play this way, that way, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and we might need to move this player out and put that player in and sort of break up that winning side? I mean, what type of manager are you? Do you keep to a winning team, or do you look at the opposition and think, well, this one might need an extra defensive midfield player, say, or an extra winger, or whatever?
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm the former. I do like to keep the continuity, the consistency. There's partnerships and forming in the team when you're picking the same team, but when you're winning, it's as you say, it's very difficult to change around. But we will change for opposition if we feel we have to. If we need a different type of player somewhere, then yes, I'm not afraid to do that. But I would say I'm probably more of the former, where I will back the winning team, and you're always hoping you kind of yesterday could have done with probably getting ahead a bit earlier than we did, and we did get some players on the pitch yesterday. Pete Percy and PK came back in, and Lyle, trying to get them as much time on the pitch as we can, but it's not always possible either. But yeah, I guess I'm in the first camp, Dave. I do like to back the winning team. Keep it together. But we will make changes. Maz and I are pretty pragmatic. We know what we need to do. We don't particularly like changing for opposition, but if we feel we have to where we think it'll serve us better, then we will.
Absolutely. Well, listen, mate, we wish you all the very, very best for the week, and hopefully you don't pick up any injuries in training, etc., etc., and hopefully you come back with 3 points again from your home game against Horsham at the weekend. And thank you for giving up your red hot chili tonight, and I hope that goes down well when we've finished. But listen, mate, a massive thank you. It's always an absolute pleasure to speak to you, and wish Enfield all the best for the coming week.
Appreciate you, Dave. Speak soon.
See you, mate. Bye.
Bye.